Kathy, and she will be presenting the session on unleashing the power of Microsoft Purview compliance portal. So over to you, Kathy. I've started the recording. Yeah.
That's great. Hello, everybody. I'm here to talk in a very high level around unleashing the power of Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal, but really with a lens of protecting your data and human security. So very much a human security lens that we're going to go in on this with. First of all, obviously, I realise you will have seen this a few times as it's just a reminder that we do have the exciting prizes to win here. So if you fill in your quiz at the end there, you've got the opportunity to win these fantastic prizes. And please don't forget to support the Empowering Girls with Education. So if you use that QR code, you're able to donate now. So if you can, if you'd like to do that, then please do so. I can pop that back up at the end of the presentation if that's of any benefit to anyone, if anyone's missed it. Okay, so I'm Katie McMillan. I'm a manager at Avanade in the tech advisory team. So I do a lot of advisory in the security space around Microsoft technologies. And I'm going to run through a lot of the of Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal. We'll go through certain areas of the portal. I'll go through a little introduction of an overview, look at how the portal's sort of pieced together, the features and the benefits, but with that human security lens, and looking at how Compliance Centre can help maintain that human security. So looking at little mechanisms that are built into the compliance portal to be able to help you with your organisation's human security, and look at some of the key challenges, because there are many, around compliance and human security, and how the compliance portal is built in a way to protect the organisation and protect your data. And then I'm going to talk a little bit more about the human factor in security and governance, and how the new tools and elements to Purview can help with that. And certainly if there's any questions as we go, please feel free to pop those in the chat, and we can go through those at the end. So to begin with, I just wanted to talk around the Purview Compliance Portal in itself, and say exactly what it is and how that's how the tooling itself is important to protecting your data. So Compliance Portal is a very comprehensive tool, and it manages the compliance and data protection against specific privacy and data protection regulations. So it's customized and built in there. It's all of the features are extremely powerful, and they pull on all of the data within your environments, as you will have heard in some of the discussions today, and it's across all of your data ecosystem. So it's not just one element that we're looking at here. This is across all of your environments. So here we're going to look at the tool set itself, and as I said, we'll look at how it impacts the human security threat landscape, how you can look at the risk elements around human security, and limit those within your organisation. So what is Compliance Portal? Now, essentially, the Compliance Portal within Purview is a cloud-based solution, and it enables organisations to assess and manage the compliance and risks across all of their estate. So, as you know, it is part of the Purview platform, but in itself, as an element, it's extremely powerful, even without the other elements of Purview in place. So it unifies all of the governance solution, and helps all organisations to discover and understand and manage their data effectively and efficiently for the organisation, and that's specific to the organisation's business objectives and strategy as well. So it's all about pulling the data and making the compliance portal work for you in your organisation. So it gives a single centralised location for managing and monitoring that compliance across all of the data sources, various data sources, and from on-prem sources to cloud-based environments. And it offers a range of features and capabilities, which we're going to step into a little bit later on. I've highlighted there all of the different, I suppose, capabilities within Compliance Portal, but I'll delve into them a little bit more later on. So there's certain, it offers a range of the features and capabilities, but it's specifically, if we call out a few, you've got automated assessments, risk management, and compliance reporting, and it helps organisations stay compliant with the likes of it, be it GDPR, be it CCPA, be it HIPAA, and it provides that unified view of all of your data and metadata across the organisation. But it does also help you understand your data and how it's being used across your organisation. Because how can you protect your data if you don't know what's there and you don't know how it needs to be classified? Obviously, Purview itself, from a classification point of view, has a lot of built-in tools to assist you with that. But from if you're looking at compliance, the compliance portal specifically, it gives you that one-stop shop of all of the information that Purview itself has pulled into the fantastic tool set that we have out there. So the likes of your PII, your personal identifiable information, it helps you understand that and where that is within your organisation as well, and helps you locate where to protect the data, where it needs to be protected at a certain level. So overall, as an introduction, the compliance portal itself is the comprehensive solution for managing your data governance and compliance across your whole organisation. So I'm going to talk around the first element of the compliance portal, and that's Compliance Manager. So that provides your centralized dashboard, gives you all of your real-time information, and you can go into the Compliance Manager and check your compliance score at any time. The benefits of the Compliance Manager is that it monitors the compliance risks across your whole estate, which we talked about it being across the whole ecosystem earlier on. So that provides the dashboard with all of your compliance posture and helps you identify and prioritize the compliance activities based on the risk that you've got out there. So it has built-in support for various regulations. So we're going to looking at the compliance against GDPR and CCPA, and that's all built into the tool. But it can also be customized to meet your specific compliance requirements. If you've got a regulation or a standard that you need to be compliant with, you can build that into Purview compliance, Purview itself, and the compliance manager will report on that for you. And that's quite an interesting and an important tool for organisations. So from a human security standpoint, Compliance Manager itself helps you to deliver compliance training to employees. So you've got that you can create compliance training, and then you can also report on that. You can check if your employees are compliant based on the training, and it will check if you've got annual training you need to roll out. You can automate that, but also you can monitor and check your employees' compliance based on the training that they've had. It helps all organisations streamline the compliance processes, because there's nothing worse than having a manual process that kind of gets left by the wayside when you aren't able to keep on top of that. If you've got an automated process and something you can just click on to have a look into your own compliance management, you have a real-time view. It helps you to manage the processes and reduce the risk of non-compliance and across your whole complex regulatory environments in your organisation. So that's Compliance Manager in a nutshell. So I'm going to touch upon these three areas now. I know that you have some discussions around some of these areas in much more depth later on, but I wanted to touch on them around how they fit into Compliance Portal and how they help from a human security point of view. So Purview provides several features that can protect against human security risks from a very much data specific area. So they include your data loss prevention, you've got your data lifecycle management and information protection. So information protection does enable your organization to implement access controls and encryption measures to limit the access to sensitive data. What happens with the information protection area of Purview, that information will then be brought into your compliance portal, and then you can check the compliance against those controls that have been put into place. So this helps to prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data by individuals who might want to use it sort of from inside a threat point of view. Information protection measures can also be prevent data tampering, so it helps the integrity of your data, and also prevents the unauthorized modification of data that could result in harm to specific individuals or your organization in general. So data loss prevention integrates, so Purview integrates with the Microsoft DLP solutions and to monitor for the data access or transfer activity. So, for example, if you've got the DLP solution detecting an individual accessing or transferring huge amounts of data when they're not supposed to be, that can indicate malicious activity. So the solution itself can prevent that from happening, but then the compliance portal will report on it and check where the whether or not this has been an issue, or if it's led to anything that's an insider threat or could lead to an insider threat. So it can also prevent accidental data leaks by blocking attempts to transfer the sensitive data via email and sharing services, depending on what controls you put in place. And this can all be reported on, and you can check your compliance through the portal and the compliance manager. So data lifecycle management, I know there is one area that's going to be either has been or is going to be delved into a little bit deeper later on. But Purview does provide the capability for managing that data retention and disposal policies. So that's automating your processes, enabling the organization to limit that amount of time that sensitive data is stored and enforce those disposal procedures. So if your regulations say you have to retain data for a certain length of time, then Purview can manage that for you, but also it can limit the amount of time you have that data. So it can automate the deletion should that be required. And then you can report, you can check on that compliance within your compliance manager and within the compliance portal in general. You can also produce reports off the back of that information, and that will also be, you'll be able to reference that in your compliance score as well. So going into a little bit more depth in some of the other areas of the compliance portal, it is the area of audit and e-discovery. Now, we know that audit is such an important feature in any organisation, because if you're under regulation or you're needing to adhere to specific privacy standards, you may well be audited on a regular basis. You may have your internal audit procedures in place that need to be adhered to. And actually, audit takes an awful lot of time and effort from a human factor within an organisation to enforce. And I find that from within compliance portal itself, the audit features enable organisations to protect against the human security risks even more. So you have you can implement the audit function, so you're able to monitor that through your compliance portal, but also that will check for your data access and modifications. When you're looking at auditing an organisation, if you've got a real-time view within your compliance portal that has a score against the audit function as well, you're able to then make those modifications if they're required, and it helps you look at that user activity, and that's where the human factor comes in. It's about the user activity within the system and how that's logged and monitored. Also, there's e-discovery, and e-discovery enables organizations to search across all of your data sources. So e-discovery generally has been something that's been sort of hard to integrate across all of your data sources. But if you're using it within Purview, it does mean you can search across multiple data sources to check for that data. If you've got to respond to legal or regulatory requests, if you've got a subject access request, if you're looking, or somebody has a freedom of information request that comes through, then they'd be able to do a full search within e-discovery across multiple data sources and not just one at a time, which again, if you're looking at one at a time, you're open to human error at that point, whereas it automates that process, means you don't have to look at a more manual process and pulling that data together. It also provides all that data to you in a report, so you're able to reference that in your compliance portal as well. So insider risk management and communications compliance is such a key area from a human risk perspective. Insider risk itself is almost the one of the biggest risks in an organization. You've also got the element of just the human factor of security, which we'll go into a little bit later on. So insider risk management does help organizations to detect and respond to insider threat and incidents. It's also gives you features that use machine learning to identify anomalous behavior. So unusual data access again, or transfers, but also alerting security teams to potential insider incidents. If something comes up, an incident can be automatically logged via systems that integrate through with your compliance portal. The feature itself also provides tools for conducting the investigations and taking action to prevent and mitigate the potential risks. And all of this can also be reported in Compliance Manager. You can pull reports off at any time for any area of the compliance portal. So communication compliance it's a feature that can help the organizations monitor and prevent the use of sensitive or harmful language in communication channels, such as your emails, such as chats, such as collaboration platforms. And this can also help prevent harmful actions or inappropriate behavior that could lead to more human security risks. So you could also have this tuned to look for specific words or policy violations within your organization. So the feature uses machine learning to detect those policy violations, but can be, if you want to align it to a specific compliance requirement, you can build that into the tool itself. So by leveraging those features specifically, you can improve the ability to detect and respond to the insider risk incidents, but ensure the compliance with communication policies, which reduces the risk of having those security incidents in the first place. It's more of a proactive and a reactive approach all in one. So I'll move on now. I've gone through all of the different areas from the key areas of compliance portal, but I wanted to talk around some of the key business challenges. So the regulatory complexity, and the reason that I've brought this one up is that different organizations need to be regulated in different ways, and having that one-stop shop of a portal that can report on all of your different compliance mechanisms or policies that you need to have in place means you then don't need to have as much of a complex environment as you previously thought. So, for example, it provides that centralized solution, and it helps organizations track and manage it, but it's across multiple jurisdictions as well. So it offers that automated assessments and helps the organisation understand which of your regulations are more important. So you have those priorities as well. You can prioritise those specifically to your organisation based on your strategy, based on your business objectives, and based on new and emerging threats as well. So you can look at, even if it's a new and emerging regulation or standard, you can build that into your compliance portal and work through that on a case-by-case basis. It helps you identify those gaps as well. So if you do have gaps within your regulatory compliance, it helps you prioritise and project plan those into your programme of work. There's nothing worse than something coming through the door and says, okay, there's a new regulation that we need to adhere to. We don't know we don't know the posture of the organisation based on this regulation as yet. You build that into your Purview compliance portal, and you're able to see that in real time and see how your data is regulated, is meeting the new regulation. That will then give you almost a to-do list of activities that you can prioritise based on their importance, based on how complex that sort of challenge is, and it also gives you that element of a wraparound care as such from a regulatory perspective. That leads quite nicely onto data privacy and security. So from everything I've said there, we know that the compliance portal does help organisations to classify and manage their sensitive data, and all types of sensitive data as well. So as well as your personally identifiable information, you can tag certain information that is a specific classification that you want to manage in a certain way, and you can. It provides that capability to identify and classify the data across the various sources, but it also enforces the policies to protect that data once it's classified. So providing those built-in security features, such as encryption and access control, protects the data from the unauthorized access, but also means that classification is in place for all of the data across all of the different data sources, which I think is quite key, because having that centralized approach means you are then able to sort of push that into your compliance portal and report on it as and when required. Risk management is from a security perspective. Risk management and human security is really, really difficult to manage when you have siloed different systems that don't talk to each other, and you can't look at all that data across all of your estates. Having worked across lots of different areas with hybrid approach to data management, having a tool that will talk to each of those different areas and pull that information back and provide a holistic view of your risk management is really, really impressive and quite a nice thing to have within your organisation. So the Purview Compliance Portal does have that risk management capability, but it helps your organisation identify and manage your compliance risks in a whole. If you need to comply with the multiple standards, as I said earlier on, then it can bring those risks into play, and you can prioritise those, again, depending on your business objectives, but also identifying potential other risks and providing recommendations on how to mitigate those, which gives you that to-do list that we were talking about earlier on. It gives you that focus. It gives you a focus on all of your data rather than just those little siloed areas. And knowing where your risks are across the whole organisation is almost the golden ticket to getting those risks mitigated in a timely, efficient, and more importantly, effective way. You don't want to have risks and threats out there that aren't being mitigated, that you don't know are out there that aren't being mitigated. So the fourth area that I've got here as a key challenge is employee training and awareness. So employee training and awareness from a challenge point of view is that the threat landscape of any organisation is ever changing. And the good thing about the compliance portal is it includes those features for creating and delivering the training for you. So if you've got, for example, that brand new regulatory standard that we've just talked about earlier on, if you feed that through the complexity of that regulatory standard and how difficult that is going to be to mitigate those risks, you also need to train your staff on how they're going to remain compliant with those regulations. Now, if you've got a tool that is embedded in your organization that hits all of your data sources, and you're able to build build that training out as you're mitigating your risks, then that to me is a win, because you're able to reference the standard itself. You're referencing how it hits your organization, and you can then it becomes part of the program of work. You create your compliance training, send it out to your employees, and you can report off the back of it by monitoring how compliant they are with with not just the training, but the compliance and tasks they're expected to undertake. It gives you all of that audit trail. It gives you that reporting, and then you're able to pass that back to the relevant employees if they need to be conducting that training again. You can also then update that for the following year. So the maintaining compliance across multiple jurisdictions. So the compliance portal does help organisations to remain compliant across the multiple jurisdictions, but that's through the centralised solution for managing the compliance activities that we've talked about at length already. It has the built-in support for the various areas and the customised areas for meeting those compliance regulations. So again, going back to the example of having a specific new regulation, then you can then customise your compliance portal to report on that specific regulatory standard. It then means that you can address all of the specifics of that regulation and all that standard, and you can also help to frame how that's going to impact your organisation day to day, how it's going to impact your employees day to day, and how you're going to embed that within your organisation. It helps with the project side of that as well as the compliance side of that. It gives you your full view of exactly what's there and what's not. So in a nutshell, the compliance portal can help organisations address many of the key challenges, but it does provide that comprehensive solution. So it's not just a small solution that's going to sit in one area of your organisation. It'll fit across all of and integrate with all of many of your tool sets within organisations. I think it's really important to mention that it is, although a unified view of data, it does sit across your metadata as well within the organisation, and that helps to ensure that you're understanding your own data, understanding how that compliance works within the organisation, and also with the applicable regulations and standards. So I wanted to touch upon the human factor at the very end here, and I've picked out these different areas from a human security point of view again. So I've having looked at this at in depth over the past few months, and looking at the amount of data breaches that are specifically human security failures at their core. That is looking around about the 80 to 85% mark of data breaches are actually human error or human insider threat at their core, and that's quite a shocking piece of information, because that means that we need to be focusing less on systems and less on securing just the systems, and more on looking at the human element within our organization. I think that training and awareness that we talked about earlier on is the key part of this. So making sure that your organization is training the employees and has the right skill sets to be able to push that awareness piece across the organization is such a key element. Also, with training and awareness, that does limit down your insider threat, and people will be aware of the controls that are in place, and it does mean that they know that you can report on that, and that's something that you should be able to take down that threat landscape based on the organizational awareness that you're putting out there. Also, the audit and reporting within the compliance portal is really, really key here. So I find that if you can report on compliance, you can report on regulation, that hits so many of the different regulatory requirements and audit or an external audit as well. If somebody's coming into your organization to externally assess your organization based on a standard or a regulation, or be that legal or otherwise, they will need to be able to see reports on different areas of the organization and how access management is managed, how your incidents are managed, how your identity and access management is managed, and how you are keeping your organization safe from that human factor, that human threat. So the likes of separation of duties and least privilege, and making sure you've got all of those controls in place. You've got a report there that says, yes, we have those in place, and this is how compliant we are. That's really important for an auditor to see. And that hits against the regulatory compliance as well. It's all about bringing the whole picture together within Compliance Portal. So as a conclusion, I would say that that Microsoft Purview Compliance Portal is enabling organizations to catalog and classify the data accordingly. And I think that's really important across all of your organization. If you're classifying it according to the sensitivity and compliance requirements, then at least you know you can report on that and say, okay, we've got this many standards, and this it's all classified based on these specific requirements, and that limits down the risk for the organisation. It also provides a centralised location for managing your compliance controls, including data protection and your retention policies. Again, hits upon your regulatory compliance. You need to keep data for a certain length of time, and you need to delete data within a certain length of time as well. So the compliance portal itself helps with risk management by providing tools for identifying and assessing the compliance risks. So those are including those related to human security. So it's not just human security, that's just the lens that I've used for this discussion point. By centralising their control management, organisations are able to ensure that the controls are consistently applied and monitored. So it's not just about applying them once and hoping that they continue. It's about consistently applying them, monitoring them, and reducing the risk of a human security incident or a security incident in general. By identifying those potential risks, organisations can take the proactive steps to prevent those incidents. So you can change your systems and your services based on the potential risks identified within the compliance portal. And overall, the compliance portal provides that centralised managing way of managing the compliance requirements. So enabling them to effectively manage the human security risks. And that is me. So I've got a little bit of time for some questions, if anyone has any. Let me just see if we got, does anyone have any questions at all that want to pop in the chat? If not, I'm a little bit ahead of time there.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for providing this session. Thank you so much. Yeah.
No problem at all. And
Thanks.
thank you very much to all the sponsors. That's
Thank
fantastic.
you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Yeah, we'll start the next session in 10 minutes. Thank you.